All right. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And so, yeah, this is the Siebel 25.8 highlights. Of course, the monthly release has been released as in like 1 week ago, roughly. And so many of you have probably already downloaded and evaluating it. And what are the highlights here? There's some news in the Gen AI area, so generative AI, two new use cases, and a big update for test automation, which I know is your dearest topic of all. And there's a little update for custom order management and a very tiny update on the technical support applet. Still interesting. And of course, we have Tomcat 10 as we are now deep into Java 21 territory since 25.6. Siebel uses Java 21. And with that comes a Tomcat. And the Tomcat is relatively new. It's 10.141. And besides the Siebel technical updates, there's a lot going on around Siebel and communication from Oracle around Siebel. So we're going to summarize what happened during summer when you were sipping margaritas on the beach. And this is all about the info portal, the Siebel Genie, and the upcoming Siebel CRM Summit. So quite a lot to talk about, really. And we start with the generative AI. So I think everybody in the room remembers when Siebel had the first release where you could integrate with OCI AI. That was before generative AI was a thing. That was in 22.10, or was actually exactly when generative AI became a big thing. And then Siebel was able, for example, to do a PII detection, personally identifiable information. And Oracle has been shipping standard use cases. Uh, you need to run a repository upgrade really to get those and do, of course, quite some setup to connect to OCI, as all of these use cases rely on an OCI tenancy where the large language model lives. Generative AI is integrated since 25, 24 dots. Okay, I forgot it, 24 something. And in 25.8, we have two new Gen AI use cases. The first one is called GSAT, or Generated Satisfaction Score. And it's all about service requests. So I tested it a little bit and it worked quite well. So you have a service request open or in any status. And when you set it to closed, that's the standard use case Oracle ships. So setting the status to closed triggers a prompt to the generative AI. And that prompt, I have copied the prompt here. So you see, this is the kind of Gen AI prompts that are now in the Siebel database that you can, of course, modify, or can you create your own versions of those. And this tells the AI to provide an agent effort score, empathy score, customer effort score, and other scores by assigning a number from 1 to 5 based on the input. And the input is basically the description of the service request and the associated activities. So it's quite a prompt, and it comes back, and the business service evaluates the data and it puts it in a business component. There's also an applet, there's a new view, AI assist, and those 5 fields are then, well, populated, and you can display them at any time. So, yeah, so Richard has a question in the chat. Does GSAT AI use case work in all supported languages? Well, I don't have an answer to that, but maybe anyone from Oracle might want to answer that.
It as long as it's supported by us and by the AI, then it should.
So, uh, Okay, so it's if it's a Siebel standard language, you say the ship
And also supported on the
and
other end
and
by
supported by
the
the
Sorry, Richard here. The question would be, I mean, we all know what the supported languages are for Siebel, but the question would be, what are the matches?
that I don't know. We'd have
Okay.
to look it up in the on
Yeah.
the
yeah.
Siebel AI.
I just had tried to have a look for it and thought, I'll
Yeah,
ask somebody here instead.
yeah, well, that's what Siebel
Yeah, no,
standards.
I don't see I don't see any of our apps PMs on other than Himanshu who don't think it had anything to do with this one. So who might be able to answer that? But you know, from the Siebel
Mm,
side, you know
yeah,
that I and most of the others on here know.
I
Okay.
yeah, I would guess educated guess that you would have at least to translate the prompt and of course have language the data in that language.
Hmm.
The prompts,
Hey,
as to my knowledge, they are just English at the moment. So when you run the repository upgrade, those prompts get inserted.
Um, I take a note. Who was this? Venkat. Let me send a note to Venkat and ask.
Mm.
It also, I don't know, Alex, you had a chance or anyone to look at the T. Oh, there wasn't a TOI for this one. Yeah,
Uh,
okay. I'll
yeah,
send a note
mhm.
to Venkat to ask,
Of
super.
course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
and I'll just, I don't know, send it back to.
Okay,
I don't
and
know, Alex, if you have a comment section once you post this online that we could add that answer there, or I don't know where to put the answer.
yeah, sure. There's a comment section on the YouTube video.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
throw it
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and the second use case that Oracle ships with 25.8. So there's a high number of use cases already in Siebel, and one of the older ones is the transcription. So when the transcribe button is from a previous version, where not LLM, well, LLM backed speech transcription happens with the Whisper model from video or uh, ex, sorry, voice recordings. And the new button is the extract button with 25.8 and higher. And this allows you to upload. It's a very limited in not it's not in a negative sense, but it's a limited demo. So you can upload an image, a scan of, if you will, a maybe a document or an invoice, anything where there's some address data on it, or it could be a passport. Well, there's no address data in some passports, but anyway, and JPEG and PNG are supported. And the extract button demonstrates the multimodal capabilities. So you need, of course, an LLM that is multimodal capable. Currently, that's the Llama model on OCI. The Meta Llama model has a multimodal, is multimodal, so it can interpret images and give you feedback what's in the image. And the prompt is to analyze the image for address data. And it actually does that quite well. And prompt puts that in a pop-up applet. It's not shown in the screenshot. And the pop-up applet allows you to verify the data, and then it's saved in the I forgot how the view is named, but it's like seeing the old and new address of the customer. It's in the details here. So that's also very interesting because it opens the door for more, maybe in the future, more use cases or more customizations. If your LLM is multimodal, then you can put any image with any prompt to the LLM and have it extract data or summarize it, and you save that data in a business component or you save it somewhere else. So yeah, quite interesting. And the other thing that it makes 25.8 a big release is if you use Siebel test automation, and I know you do. uh, and test automation comes now with dashboards. So using the data visualization applets that you might remember, the infolets, summarizing here the test script information, the information about test scripts, and having a chart. So that's the test script dashboard, and there's a test execution dashboard. And test execution means how many runs did you have in the last 24 hours, how many test results have a failed status, and so forth. There's also a chart displayed once you start filling in a new field called issue. So what's the type of issue? So there would be then a chart here. You can imagine a pie chart of some kind. And that, of course, is read-only dashboard style data. So it's nothing really spectacular in terms of, well, it's things you can do with Siebel, and it's a new out-of-the-box feature. And the other thing that makes it easier for people, for administrators or test administrators, you might know that you have to create these test execution records once per test run. So actually, if you run, for example, weekly tests, as I do in one project, we run weekly tests with 4 different master suites in parallel. And so I have to create 4 test executions and then execute them in batch. And those text execution records you can set them up through the REST API, so you can automate it, but you always have to worry about the parameters you set in each test execution. And now comes a new feature, the test execution profile. And that is one or more profiles that you can name. One of them can be default, and each profile gets a host of system-defined parameters you can modify. And you can also add your custom parameters, to initialize your variables for the various test scripts. And that is, of course, stored in Siebel in the database. And when you, it's not shown here, but when you create the test execution record, the default profile is automatically picked and pre-populates all the necessary details from these parameters. Or you can choose another profile, or you don't have a default profile and you just pick one at the time. And that really speeds up. I've already been able to test that, pun intended, on a one customer environment, and it really speeds up the process of creating those test execution records. And Richard concurs here. That's so much better, yeah, than doing it by hand. I mean, and you can copy paste, but you always have to be careful. You always miss that one parameter. In any case, you should be doing it through REST. It's much more fun creating those execution records through REST just before you run them. And speaking of running the tests, one big thing is, of course, taking in the results of the test. You want to know, was the test successful? Did it pass or did it fail? And there is a feature in 25.7 and earlier. You can, after the test is completed, you can press a button in the attachment. So you have to go into login again, go into the test execution view, find the test execution, click a button to create what's known as test passes. And the test passes is the information, the status of each test script in that test execution. And that is then saved. It's an XML file attached, and you save that into Siebel. It's a manual process. And in 25.8, it's finally no longer a manual process. It's actually automatic and happens every time when a test execution is finished. So that test pass generation is now automatic, which is great. And even more so, there's a test result generation, test step result, that's the official name. So there's a parameter to control that, because obviously at the test step level, for each test script, you might have 50 steps on a test script. So there will be 50 records in the database, what happened at each step. And that's the same as you see in those HTML reports. But of course, it's a lot of data, so you maybe want to control that. So there's a parameter to control that. And then if you set the parameter to yes, obviously, you get the test step result, great detail. And you also have new fields showing you the result log data, allowing you to enter the issue and comments, especially for failed steps. And you can also still trigger that upload from DISA. So in case it didn't work or you want to do it manually in some forms. It's a command line. These are command line, a jar file that you execute now. So all in all, great news for test automation. So that's really something. If you considering Siebel test automation or you're using it already, 25.8 will definitely make a change here. All right. So yeah, any comments on that? Any questions?
I'm probably the 9 millionth person to ask it, but is there anything on the DISA roadmap that would be non-Windows? Because it's, as far as I remember, DISA is still Windows only.
Not that I'm aware of, but you know,
I haven't seen anything either.
If there is
Yeah.
interest, then we can pass that along. Just
No, just yeah. I have one customer who would be interested, but they've allocated resource, so they have a Windows box that they can VMs that they can use. But it was just a query. Thank
No.
you.
Yeah. No, by all means, Pat, send Gary and I or whoever an email, and we'll forward it to the appropriate product manager to let people know there's interest.
1-800 after sales service will do. I'll go. I'm with the customer soon anyway, and I'll ask them again what their status is, whether they're happy with what they have. Thanks for that, Brian.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Is that for testing or for the documentation part?
It's actually for both. It came up in a conversation about testing, but then we had a discussion about other uses of DISA. So
when we originally came up with the concept, it was to write something that would work on effectively any at least desktop platform, including, for example, a Mac, which is not, because you can run Siebel on the Mac, right? In Safari or whatever. But I think once the Windows one was built, that I think they decided a sufficient number of customers were happy that we can move on to others.
Sure. I get it, and I don't think my customer is likely to kick up a fuss, but it was just hey, I'm here, and it's Siebel Friday, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, when it comes to testing on non-Windows platforms, it's really a challenge. I remember one project where we tested on smartphones. We did Siebel Mobile with IP16 back in the day, and testing on those smartphones was not automatable at that time, and so we had really five different smartphone models issued to 3 different people. And they were testing manually. They were tapping away.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you there. I can remember that. I can remember doing Siebel handheld in Japanese with someone guiding me where I needed to press buttons.
Yeah.
That was our testing. Yeah.
Okay. But of course, Siebel can now do the test automation supports mobile phones through. I've never tried that, but it's a super interesting read in Bookshelf how to set it up. Okay. So there's also more in 25.8. There is a documentation about a synchronization of component product information with product promotions. So product promotions being bundles of products with certain pricing information. So I haven't tried that, but supposedly it's when the product information changes, it's now synchronized to the product promotion. I hope I'm getting that right. So that's news for the customer order management people.
Actually, just to elaborate on that one, so we have a synchronize button in promotion definition, promotion administration screen, and it can happen. Your CP definition it changed after you have created the promotion, and then if you want to update the promotion rules with that new definition, then the synchronize button will be useful in that scenario.
Oh, of course. And that is the new feature, that button.
That button is there for quite a long time. It wasn't documented, so we have documented that.
Oh, okay. So it's actually an old feature, but now it's just documentation update.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, but it does not happen automatically, right?
No, it doesn't happen automatically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so even better
Yes.
news. The functionality is already here.
Oh,
And
it's there for quite a few years, for sure.
okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. All right. And yeah, one other thing there is, of course, since 25.6, we have the ability to use Oracle Coherence to create a runtime repository and other types of data cache, network cache, and that's hopefully super helpful for some projects. And since 25.8, you can see how your cache is doing by looking in the technical support applet. So here it says cache status connected, which is obviously a good thing. And that's new. So there's a new field in the technical support applet. So tiny change, but of course, very, very welcome.
What is the coherence cache used for?
Nick, it's the ability of the application to load up much of the data that the object managers load when they start and they need to do their operations. It also loads the user context. So each user has profile attributes and other things associated with them, and it loads those so that they will be much faster retrieved from the cache than queried from the database every time they're needed. So it's essentially it's supposed to make starting the object managers faster after the first one takes the load and has to load everything. Once the cache gets populated, if you have to restart a component, it should be faster. And for instance, navigating to different views would be faster because the definitions for the applets and views and screens are loaded into the cache already.
Okay.
Carrie, if you don't mind, I'd elaborate on that a little.
Yeah,
When
please.
I'm sure most have noticed that when you start up an OM, it's got a whole bunch of time before you can actually use it. And it's low. If you look in the logs, you'll see it's loading all of the SRR objects, amongst other things, but that's the most obvious. So it's preloading a bunch of views and applications and screens and all this other sort of thing. It has to load all that. You start up another object manager, it does the same thing, even on the same box.
In parallel.
Separate multi-threaded, if it's a separate thread. So with this cache, once one object has loaded something, once one OM has loaded something, that's in a shared cache that's available to all servers. So now your second, third, fourth, fifth, whether on the same box or a different box, don't need to go load those things from the database. They're already sitting in that cache and they can get them directly from the cache, which greatly accelerates your startup time. Now, later, if that first server goes down for whatever reason, that's okay too, because everything's still in the cache and all the other servers can keep using that existing cache. So you've eliminated a ton of time. Now let's say, in theory, an EAI object manager comes in, it should be able to use that same cache. So your EAI transaction would be a lot faster, et cetera, et cetera. So those are kind of the use cases that, that it really is going to accelerate and eliminate a lot of the startup time. As long as you don't bring down everything, then when you do start something up, it's going to load so much faster. It should even, it'll even work across, say, rolling updates. So, if you bring up, you bring down a Siebel server in a rolling update scenario to patch just that one server. Once you're done patching that server, you bring it back up. It doesn't need to reload everything. It's already in the coherence cache. It just grabs it out of there. And that cache itself can be distributed across multiple machines that may or may not actually be Siebel servers. They could be separate machines if you wanted. So anyway, that's my longer version of the story, if that helps.
Nice,
Um,
Brian.
Any like real world idea of how much faster it actually is, like in general?
Real world, no. We have our internal testing, which is somewhere up to 38% faster. It depends on the object manager. Different object managers, specific.
Okay, I just
load
wanted some numbers
specific
to
data.
to tell the
Yeah.
business so that we have some expectations.
Yeah. But I mean, 38%, I feel pretty significant.
Yeah.
And also though, I think, once it started, I mean, it just keeps giving you benefit indefinitely, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What version did it start coming out?
25.6.
That's
Okay.
available now.
Okay.
Yeah, and thanks so much for Kerry, Brian, everybody who chimed in here for providing a detail, which gave me time to look up a slide, which I have now here. So this is the cash flow that Brian described in my silly graphics. So the Siebel server starts up, for example, and you have and the cache is situated in an internal Tomcat, internal style Tomcat, where you deploy it. There's also SSH involved for the communication, and the coherence cache server sits here as a Java program.
If Alex, if I could just FYI, that coherence cache server is the community version. It's not something a customer has to separately license. We distribute the community version, so it's free. There's no licensing I expect to
Even better. Yeah, doesn't cost a penny. So and now component A, the first component starts up, so it naturally goes to the cache if it's configured that way. It goes to the cache but doesn't find anything because the cache also just started. It's a fresh, complete first startup. So component A has to go to the database and retrieve the data the old way from the SRR table. And it also takes the burden of populating the cache with that data. So now the data, that runtime repository information or whatever information is in the cache server. Now component B starts up and looks for the same thing, and you just uses the cache data. And obviously that's faster. Okay.
So what if the actual server, like the Linux server OS shuts down? Would we lose the coherence cache then?
That's why you want to back it up on probably at least 3 machines.
It's
So
it's
you won't lose
effectively
everything.
you want to cluster. It's clustered, but is how you want to do it.
Okay.
So so if one of those, if the I don't know, I care if it's called the primary or the main. I don't know. But if
Yeah,
it goes
is.
down,
There is
there's going to
primary.
be if as per our recommendation you have 3, and you can have more. You have, I don't know how infinite supposedly, I guess. Cache servers, they're all going to share. They're all going to, if one of them loads something, it's going to be available to all of them. And so if one of them goes down, you don't lose anything as long as they don't all go down.
And okay, great. So now in 25.8, you also see the status of that cache in your technical support applet. Coming back to that.
Yeah, you used to have to look in the log to find out if you're actually connected and what was going on. So that's why we added this.
Right. There's also a page in SMC in the management console where you see kind of the state number of objects per cache. That's what it shows. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and a little shameless plug here, of course, that you can learn about all of this, the new stuff that we just discussed, in our always up-to-date curriculum on the Siebel Hub. So if your team needs a knowledge update, contact us, or just go to Siebel Hub and start learning today. So we have, if you need that training, we most probably are going to have it ready for you in a recorded training. In other news, well, let's go back to cache one more time. There's a question from Alok in the chat. Is there any plan to have coherence as a server container? And so a Podman Dockerizable container, and Kerry is answering with yes. Oracle is working on this now. Okay, great. So there's a new component container type coming. Good to see.
Nothing's stopping you from doing it now, to the best of my knowledge, but it's just not pre-built.
It's not pre-built like you have a container.
But I mean, you
type.
can build a container for pretty much anything, right? So
Sure. But yeah,
but yeah, right now it's not productized. That's what Kerry's saying. We're looking into that.
Okay. Yeah. So in other news, related to Siebel, of course, but not to 25.8 specifically. Oracle has published in summer a web page, public web page called the Siebel Info Portal. And I would like, of course, to talk about this a little bit. So how can I click this? I'm just boomerang around trying to click that link here. And finally, okay. So yeah, that's the info portal, and it has a header here giving you the latest news. There's the CRM European Unit Summit coming up. So there's some header information. There's some CRM Oracle news, Siebel recipes. We're going to come to that. And some more, the blog feed, the that brings you to the still available, of course, Oracle blog, Oracle Siebel CRM blog. So for example, there's the official Siebel 25.8 update from John. And you have innovator showcases on this page. So that's really a start page to bring you all kinds of information about Siebel in one place. And one thing of information that is placed here is about the Siebel Genie. And the Siebel Genie is another very interesting, of course, piece of information. Sorry, I have to go back to the correct slide here. And the Siebel Genie is a recipe. So the Oracle has this way of providing recipes or cookbooks, if you will, of creating solutions, but it's not a ready-built solution. So I've talked to some people about the Siebel Genie, and they read about it and say, yeah, Oracle has a new product. And I'm afraid to say it's not a product. It's actually just a description how to create something that does something. And the Siebel Genie is a recipe to implement a natural language interface, of course, with the help of LLMs. And those LLMs then generate SQL select statements on the Oracle database. Now, there is a feature in Oracle Autonomous Database 23AI. I think you have to use that exact type of database. And Angelos also points out there's a webinar you can register for on the Siebel Genie. So you need, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Oracle folks in the room, please. Does it require ADB 23AI or just 23AI? Because it uses Oracle Select AI, which is the ability to use natural language to select data in a database. And naturally requires an OCI tenancy because you need to run OCI object storage and the Oracle Autonomous Database probably there. And you use Oracle Apex to create the actual application. So this is a screenshot taken from an Oracle promotional video you find on these pages. And that shows that you have a natural language search. So you just type in what you want to know. And you can see the generated SQL. So that's all built with Apex. That's custom. You choose how to build that. And it displays the data either a graphical way or as a table, the result of your query. Now, using SQL against the Siebel database is, of course, a thing you can do always, like select statements, either using Oracle Select AI manually or just select statements that you write classical mode. But the thing, as we all know, with Siebel, the Siebel database is once you have access to the table level, you're losing all the visibility rules. So every user with access to that database can query all the data, regardless of organization or position or ownership. And that's the big no-no that you don't want to have in such a product. So the recipe focuses a lot on implementing the security layer by basically translating the metadata into LLM understandable information so that it only retrieves the data that you are really allowed to see in Siebel. So I'm very curious how that actually works. Yeah, and Angelos, you just posted the link for the webinar for the registration. Yes. Thank you.
If you could also add this link to the comments afterwards, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll put it in the video.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's Siebel Genie. I have.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So where's that? Here it is. So there's a PDF. There's a link to the PDF. You can review the recipe for yourself. So there's a whole PDF with instructions, or just read it and get an idea how it works. But yeah, a very interesting use case for Oracle Select AI and Apex as a Oracle specific product, of course, but you can probably build around Oracle Select AI and Oracle 23 autonomous database. So that's, and the LLM that the database is connected to or is inside the database, which you can do with 23 AI. So I hope I summarized this correctly. Anything else to say about the Siebel Genie? No? Okay. So a few things are in the chat right now. So there's Angelos sharing the link to the registration. Alexei has shared the PDF link. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So what do you think about that recipe or that general idea of using natural language to search Siebel?
I think it's fantastic, and I've seen it. I've seen similar productized things in e-business demos last year at the Applications Unlimited show in Madrid, and it really is a game changer.
Yes, I too. I remembered Madrid, and I remembered the demo, and I think that was kind of the prototype that was then used as a basis for maybe the Siebel Genie, or at least an inspiration.
It's clearly genius. I've been dying to say that all the time, but anyway, I'm glad to get it out now. I really look forward to seeing it. Of course, I'm going to be the pain in the neck who says, most of my customers don't speak English, so I'd really like to know a little more about how this would work with non-English language. But hey, AI is everything and everywhere, so I'm sure it'll work, right?
Right? Yeah.
You can always have them use the translator.
Yeah, that's right. That'll be me. I'll be typing it out in English when they shout in my ear. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And also gives me flashbacks to 1999 when a company called Enquire built a natural language search for structured enterprise data, right? That was the product name. And it came to be Siebel Analytics a little bit later with the answers module. And it was nothing like natural language anymore once Siebel got its hand on it. But the first version really was natural language. Show me the highest sales last year or something. But it was not. There was no Gen AI behind that, of course, back then. Okay, so yeah, well, very interesting, of course, and you will definitely hear about all of this from the mouth of the Oracle folks at the Siebel CRM European Summit, which happens to be the world summit in the non-German capital of Frankfurt am Main, where it will happen on 2 days. It's a 2-day event, 21st and 22nd of October. So that's also the place where the other Apps Unlimited days were happening last year's. And of course, if you are in the general area or you want to take the international long-haul travel to Frankfurt, it's worth it because you will be able to meet a lot of Siebel experts, Oracle experts, partners, fellow customers, and of course, well, yours truly, the Siebel Hub team. Richard, you coming too?
Yeah, absolutely. Plan is to be there. I guess I would say attendance is highly probable. Other things might get in the way, but I'm looking forward to it. A thought crossed my mind since we have some Oracle dudes on the call is, will there be a Latin American or other regional version of this summit? Because it says European, which makes me think there will be other ones.
Not of which I am aware. I don't know if Richard Spearman is on this call or not, but I think his team has a lot to do with organizing this. So he we'll have to ask him, but I think that the European region seems to have a lot more interest in such an event, which is why we've had so many of these in Europe over the last several years. Whereas we don't have quite as cohesive of a group in other parts of the world. One thing I will mention is that in India, where a large number of our partners are, even for customers outside of India, we do have what's the word, biweekly meetings, partner meetings where we do presentations to all those partners on a given subject. So that's something that's available to anyone who has their implementation team in India. That's a very good opportunity to take advantage of. And like I said, they're every 2 weeks, and we cover a huge range of different topics, just a different topic every week. And we're looking at extending that to other parts of the world as well, rather than having necessarily these 2-day massive events. Although there's a huge value in these 2-day events, to the point where I am 95% sure that I will also be at this event. And so, with that in mind, I was hoping this would come up because I wanted to extend an invite that, anybody who wants some time with me, for whatever reason, one-on-one, to reach out to me, let me know. And, because I haven't planned my travel yet, but if I got 20 people want to meet with me, I'll come a day early, leave a day late, kind of thing. And it doesn't necessarily need to be right in Frankfurt. If there's sufficient demand, if I need to hop over to, I don't know, Paris or whatever, it's not like it's a bad train ride.
Don't leave your stuff on the train, though.
I was trying not to do that this time. That was quite the hassle when I left my laptop on the train. Although thanks to the, in this case, Dutch efficiency, they were able to retrieve it for me and had it waiting for me at a station further down the line. Anyway, so I was going to offer that anyway, so I'm glad this topic came up. But, I will be there for this. I believe that the other product manager that will be there is Agnes, who is in charge of many, many, many things, including she's tied into some of the AI things. She also manages some sort of older things like email response and so on, and contact center and all kinds of different stuff. So I don't know, if you look at some of the agenda items, I'm sure we're going to see her on there somewhere too. So the two of us should be there. And again, unless something goes haywire, but in theory, I mean, our travel's been approved. It's whether or not I'm allowed to take extra days to meet with people that is the only open question from a travel perspective. But anyway, people, let me know if you need, if there's something you want to talk about, reach out to me and warn me, and I'll be happy to come and be prepared to talk about it. Even if it's not necessarily one of my things, I can always learn about it.
All right. Thank you, Brian. I'm looking forward to seeing you again in Frankfurt. And it's just one Siebel Friday away, if I did the math correctly.
Yeah, it's going to sneak up on us, I think. Let me know soon.
And I also noticed when I looked up the page in the morning to see if it's still on, there was no agenda. Now there is an agenda. So the agenda is forming on that page.
Yep.
Seems to be.
Oh, also, just a quick comment. Pritham Shetty, who's the owner of all of Siebel, George actually works for him. He will be there as well, or is planning to be there as well.
Great to hear.
So, and then I believe John Bedford may be there, and I'm pretty sure Richard Spearman will be there, and I'm sure Angelos will come down and so on. So there should be a pretty fair number of Oracle folks there to be able to talk to you about various things.
Okay, and
Awesome.
yeah, great stuff. So yeah, be there or be square, as they say. And with that, we have, well, at least I'm running out of topics for today, and it's already time to close up. But of course, the stage is yours, and Siebel Friday is yours. So if you have any questions, any comments, put it in the chat or just speak up. If there's anything you want us to know.
Anybody installed 25.8 on Linux yet?
Sorry, what's the question?
Has anybody in the user group
Oh.
installed 25.08 yet on Linux?
Yeah, anyone?
Okay.
Okay, that sounds like not. I have heard about I heard about issues on Linux, which is, for example, if you come from a version before 25.2 with the ODBC migration from Marant to the Oracle driver, and that doesn't go well if you do an unattended install. That's what I recall.
Yeah.
So if you do an update from 25.1 or earlier to 25.8 on Linux, be careful and check Oracle support.
Yeah, the key thing to do that is mostly do the Windows first for the SES.
Windows first, you mean?
Yeah. If you got a mixed environment, do the Windows first.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's interesting comment. I knew there were issues. What was the do?
Well, when I did my first ODBC one, I do a set environment, so I get the environment set up for it, but it's set up for the old ODBC, and the post install couldn't find it, so it crashed and caused all types of issues. And I'm just getting over that now. So,
okay,
Interesting.
2508, Gary and I are working on a service ticket where in Linux I ran SES and it didn't do a post install at all. It didn't even ask for it, which was weird. And it might be that I might not have set environment, in which case the SES install says, okay, there's no environment to do anything with, so I'll just do the binaries. I don't know what the deal is with that.
No, there's post install is always required.
Yeah, but I did that with the Windows versions because I couldn't get it to work on Linux.
Interesting.
This is Santiago. I have an observation regarding that. What I notice is I'm in 25.2. When I moved from 25.1 to 25.2, all the ODBC drivers, like Siebel Oracle 90, doesn't work. They give you a message that you have to contact Oracle support and do some jazz. You have to use the ones that they come with the application, which now are different. They have different names and stuff. It's pretty, it's a lot of, we have to read like Alexander says, go to support and read the book chair because ODBC after 25.2 is kind of crazy.
Once it's set up, though, it works pretty nice.
Yeah,
But your environment variables, so it know where to find it now instead of the Oracle app client that it used to look at.
In one of my projects, it's a Windows project, so not necessarily about the Linux problems, but we had a good time after we set the TNS admin environment variable. So TNS_admin, that's an Oracle environment variable pointing to a folder where you have your TNS names or files and stuff. And we had that in place before the update on 24 dot something. And when we updated to 25.3 earlier this year, the installer on Windows, at least, it just recognized that variable and say, okay, you're good. You don't need to even copy the files because you have them in one place already. And so TNS_admin environment variable really seems to help a great deal. Also on containers. I think Alok, you have some experience with that, right?
Uh, yeah, Alex. So we can set that um, as an environment variable in the containers. Yeah.
And that makes things really easy because you don't have to worry about where do I have to copy that TNS names or etc. It just stays in the same place, and that's the place you're used to. Or of course, it's a folder, so you can just pick and choose a different folder, but you only have one place on the machine.
One quick comment.
I know when
This-
you did the I know when
Go
you
ahead.
did the update, it asked you where is your folder, and if you didn't pick that TNS admin folder, it didn't know what to do. It didn't pull it in or point to it correctly.
Right. When I would comment on it. This is one where I would kind of recommend strongly that people watch the TOI, which I just pasted into chat, because it does walk you through some of those scenarios a little bit better than I think Bookshelf does. I don't know if Alex or anyone else had a chance to watch it yet, but it may help you get through it. I think that it's also confusing. We used to have to, install the Oracle client itself separately, and now it's just included in the release along with the Oracle native ODBC drivers. And I think that is kind of a little confusing, probably for most of us who have been installing the Oracle client separately all this time. And not to say you can't have a separate install of it, but I think might be a little confusing, the change. So this is a TOI I would particularly recommend.
Speaking
back
of
to that question,
TOIs, Carrie.
I actually like it better because my DBAs don't always put the Oracle client on there correctly.
Right. Yeah. So at least now it gets laid down appropriately. Yeah, Carrie, I was gonna kind of ask that question too. So I'm glad you brought it up. In general, we have a poll. How useful do people find our TOIs? Do you watch them? Carrie put that in the chat, but I echo the question. And now I'm talking about just this one, all of them.
It'd be nice, Brian, if things like this put it into the release notes. A little URL for these.
There is actually.
Yeah.
For the TOI?
Yeah, there's links to the TOI in the release notes.
Right. Yeah. In the top section where it says new features in whatever 25.8.
Okay. Guess I should read more.
Where there is a TOI, you will find a link to